Go.
Nothing wrong with a little happy music.
Always like a little happy music on a Friday afternoon. Got the old DJ in. Hey, Jeff.
Hey guys, howdy.
Howdy.
Good to see you and welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen, where we meet every Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern. Have a whole community that has been doing this for many, many months, and we dig into what I describe as the behaviors of Zoom. Only so much is documented and known, and we figure things out that go well beyond that. So we feel like if we're prepared, we survive. No surprises allowed, right? So it's one of those things. So we've got I got a few folks here for sure. Ray, if you don't mind, if I give you a co-host and you can keep managing people through that waiting room. There you go. Appreciate that. Always like to keep the waiting room on for security reasons. Like to try to, at best, recognize the names coming in, and if not, follow them in to make sure that they're adding to our community in a good way. So, anyways, had a great Zoom OSC test kitchen yesterday. Andy came in and shared with us just a bundle of info, but packed a ton in less than 2 hours, and and all around Zoom OSC and Zoom ISO, and the demos were phenomenal. And so we're continuing to grow not only our knowledge but the community of users as well. So, but today we focus primarily on Zoom, and it's not that we can't talk about outside tools and workflows and so forth, but Zoom is going to be the primary focus. Today in particular, I described the test kitchen focusing on multiple devices and what our audience is seeing, and whether that's an iPhone or an Android or an iPad or another tablet, a Chromebook, a Mac, a Windows machine, an internet stream that we've asked Zoom to stream for us. And And then we could include, we're not going to include probably too much in the workshop today, but the recording. How does the record look by the time it gets delivered and so forth as well. So that could be an entire session of its own. So we're going to focus on devices. I'm hoping that many of you brought some devices. I see a lot of single logins, and so if you brought another device, be it a mobile device, a tablet, you have a PC or a Mac next to you that is different than the one you're already signed on with, certainly encourage you to go ahead and log in with that second or third device as well. I'll let you in there. Name yourself kind of maybe first name device type. Jeff iPad or Jeff iPhone or something like that I would do, and Will. So I don't necessarily want to be the only guy trying to figure out how to display to you. And I only have so many devices. I'm on a PC. I have a Mac next to me, and I have an iPhone 8 and an iPad Pro that I just recently purchased. So with that, how about just some initial feedback and conversation about what have been your experiences with supporting other devices, and having that attendee have a good experience. Lois.
I think I have everything turned off except one microphone, so we shouldn't get any feedback.
Mhm.
I'm trying to change my name on the iPad, and I don't find any place where I can do that. So do you have any suggestions on how to do that from my iPad, change my name?
I don't.
All right.
No,
Anybody else on an iPad? No?
I just got one recently, so I do not know, but I'm going to sign in on my iPad while others might respond to you.
On my tablet, I just found if I go to the participants list, I can rename myself there off participants, as I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
Don't know if the iPad's similar to the Android tablet.
Thank you. You have to turn on the participants list. Usually I can do it from the little window, but not here. Thank you.
Anyone know of another way? That's the only trick I found.
Well, the host or co-host can do it, so
But self-use.
sometimes, just asking for help helps.
And also with that, you may be able to click on the three dots.
Yeah, that doesn't have it on an iPad.
Jeff, you were talking about the different supports and variables. I helped out on a community board of directors thing I facilitated. And the two things I find irritating and was problematic the other night is folks, and I connected my tablet, folks who have got their device turned portrait mode. And it's always argue with people, how many people watch a movie or watch a football game and have their widescreen TV turned on its side, but they have their iPhone they're holding sideways, and they don't realize how much of the screen they lose. About 2/3 of the screen with a phone or a tablet turned sideways. And the other thing is, one lady kept going, well, I can't see Becky and I can't see Joe. Well, you can only see 6 video windows on your iPhone screen. You have to swipe to get the next 6 people. Well, how come I can't see more? You're on a 2-inch by 4-inch screen, lady. So that's 2 quirky things I've run into this week with tablet and phone problems. And I have my tablet connected turned sideways just to, mess that up.
One of the things that I have found, I do this exercise class with a friend, and there are people on there who always have their phone this way. It wasn't until I logged in with my phone that I realized if you turn it horizontally, it cuts off her head and her feet. And since the whole point of this is to see what she's doing, that didn't work. And so that's why they were vertical instead of horizontal.
Yeah. So Frolin, how you liking that?
Myself, that's what I'm playing with now. My big thing I tell folks is,
Good old portrait.
why are you playing with a phone or a tablet? Get on a computer. Tablet's not as bad, but. And I just found as I had the tablet turned sideways, upside down, it gets an upside down portrait photos. I'm like, okay, I got to go in and adjust the camera to readjust because that is upright. It didn't auto rotate in the video feed.
So Joe looks like it says he's on a Galaxy 10, and he's coming through on a 4:3 ratio video. I have an extra tall portrait on my tablet, but that's because the iPad Pros now finally come through as a 16:9, which is kind of cool. And so who else is in? All right, so so the things that I mean, does anybody have any known? I don't really have a stand for this iPad yet. I'll just set it there. Any known issues with devices having a different visual experience than what most of the audience on PCs and Macs, for instance, might have?
How about the little annoying pop-up window that's your preview window? How do you turn it off on a tablet or a phone? Because if you're looking at some type of PowerPoint presentation, you lose a portion of the screen because the preview window is all the same.
So you're saying, so I'm looking at my large picture of what's being my active speaker in Zoom is what I'm looking at on the tablet as well. But I have a little a miniature picture-in-picture of my local camera on that iPad. Is that picture-in-picture what you're talking about, Froland?
Correct. I've not been able to find a way to turn that picture-in-picture off so that you don't
Yeah.
overlay and block something else that might be displayed.
Yeah. So I turned mine off. Let's see if I can show you very well.
On mine, there's a plus and a minus down here. And this is low iPhone. And minus should make that.
That's exactly right.
And then to get it back, you can do other things.
Yeah. As you said, you get that pop-up that's normally there, and you can hide it on the iPad, and or you can get the gallery strip, if you will, and page through. Folks, those will refresh as we go.
Not
Now,
seeing it on an Android. Anyone else have an Android device that they find it on?
No other Android. So and that's gonna be the difference is, now, I mean, first piece of nugget for first nugget of knowledge, I guess, is
so I have the Android. Sorry, Jeff, I wanted
go
to
ahead.
respond. So I have an Android. And let's see. So with the little photo of me, I can double tap and it switches places with the main video.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can grab it and drag it around, but I can't seem to get rid of it.
For those of you who are just arriving, it would be useful if you were to add what device that screen is on to your screen name, if possible.
So Joe says he can move that picture-in-picture, and if he clicks on it, he can swap the Zoom active speaker with his own local camera, being bigger or smaller. And then we've got Andre.
Android 2. It's like, oh, wait a second. It's like this. I can have the active speaker and can switch like the other, what's his name, like Joe said. And I can swipe between, oh no, something broke.
It's hard to do backwards.
I only have a overview of 4 people, and I can swipe through these 4 apps.
Gotcha.
How to get rid of that window?
Get an iPhone or an iPad.
Yeah.
Hey, my political answer to that is that a good Christian wouldn't have an Apple, because that was the start of a lot of problems.
Uh-oh.
Ha, ha, ha.
Well,
That's the beginning and end of that on the kitchen.
Yeah.
So anyways, and that's the whole point of the time spent here is it looks like Android so far isn't able to turn that picture-in-picture thumbnail off of a tablet or a phone where we know iPads. Did we say that iPhones could? Did anybody do that on an iPhone? I've got one, but I'm not logged in right now. I'm wondering if it's as flexible. But we know that iPads.
I can move it, but not remove it.
Okay, so you can't make it disappear, but you can move it around from corner to corner. Okay, very good.
Corner to corner, yeah, it won't go in the middle. Can't put it in the middle, you can put it in the corners.
Yeah. I guess if you want it in the middle, you have to just click on it and put it big instead of small in the middle.
And you can go to the four corners, but if there's something else already there, it doesn't go all the way to the corner. Like there's a record note in the upper left-hand corner. So I can't put this in the left corner. It goes down below the record note.
Okay. Okay. So now let's manage. So I'll manage some spotlighting, and so active speaker mode is going right now. I'm not pushing anything out, but going to play with some spotlighting. Lois, what you got?
It turns out on my phone that there is a settings in the 3 more. There are settings, meeting settings, and in there I can choose to turn off self-view.
You can hide self-view. Yeah.
So maybe the Android can do that too.
Give it a shot, Androiders.
Yeah, I've been looking for it.
Androidians.
I've been looking for that and I haven't been able to find it.
I read about that and was not able to find it.
Do you get two meeting settings in there?
Yes.
Okay. That would be a good way for us to know what things can and cannot do, because if it's not listed in meeting settings, it probably can't do it.
Yeah, I'm looking at meeting settings and self-view. I'm not seeing that as one of the options.
Is it the issue of a paid account or not?
Always show video preview.
Mine isn't.
Yeah, I'd find it hard to believe. I'm not aware of anything outside of like resolution that are, there's features, paid subscriptions are more about, resolution and so forth on your way up versus features necessarily. It's more about just platform changes when it comes to. So if we, as a matter of fact,
Dan's got his hand.
Let me put a link in the chat window, and that's I'll share this as well for just a moment. That is a client comparison, if you will, and it's got a table there of the different platforms: Windows and Mac, Linux, Android, Chrome, a web client, and then Chrome PDA or PWA, which I'm not exactly sure or clear what a PWA is. Anybody know? All right. What you got, Dan?
I don't know what a PWA is, but there's another. I don't. Do you? At our university, we pay for a couple of room connector licenses, like 4 of them, so that we have a lot of installed rooms with Polycom equipment in it. So those can also join a Zoom meeting, which sets them apart from like Teams or the Google one, whatever they're called now. And with that, then so I don't know if you pay for. I could join one of my classrooms to this Zoom meeting too, but I don't know if you pay for the room connector license on your. Your Zoom account.
So the account I use for Zoom Test Kitchen is sponsored by a guy at DVE store, so it's possible that
Awesome.
he has that added on. You're certainly welcome to try it.
You're sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You don't like me taking over your desktop, do you? All right, so there's that comparison. I mean, you can take a look at that, and some of the just recognize some of the bigger breakdowns and features. Chrome, Chromebooks and web clients take a pretty significant hit. Being able to, from those platforms, schedule one-time or recurring meetings, or sharing your screen in a Zoom room, and but then if you go down, surprisingly enough, and this matrix does continue to grow. I got to give it to Zoom. This matrix continues to grow as they add many of these features, either in full or slightly different experiences, but similar enough to foot the bill. But if you scroll down to chat, live stream a webinar, that's certainly not there, but one of the biggest hits on the web client in Chrome, I believe, let's see, is the chat. I mean, there's Chrome and web. Chrome and web on chat have no support, other than there's one check mark for web that can invite contacts to an existing chat. That's it. Although they can't have an existing chat, they can invite them. So if chat's a big part of a particular meeting or whatnot, having those two platforms on board, you're going to have people that aren't able to participate. Now, it's not just about the will it work or not, is are you delivering the same experience to everybody? And so if I spotlight, let's say, Ray and Joe, now we have a dual spotlight. We'll get Dan in there and Eddie. So we have a 4x spotlight. So if anybody's watching from another type of client, what do you see? Who has another type of platform client that is not seeing the 4-up? Lois?
So I can see your 4 spotlights on the computer and on the iPad. On the iPhone, I only see the speaker, and the spotlighting doesn't take over from speaker. If I'm on my iPhone, I can slide it and then see the group in 4s, but there is no way that I can find on here that the speaker is taken over by the spotlight.
Same here. I got the Android and I can't find the 4-up spotlight. I can find all the individual 4-ups, but not the 4-up that's spotlighted. Weird.
But what is interesting is when I go back towards a gallery view, the first 4 people are the spotlighted people. And then
that is probably a coincidence, because I chose the first 4 in my gallery. So let me mix those up just for that.
There goes my 15 minutes of fame.
So I'm gonna pick Andre, and then Dan looks like he's 4 in on mine. So now we have a 2-up with Andre and Dan.
And they are the first 2 in my gallery view now.
Okay, so it's putting them at the beginning of your tape of gallery, if you will, right?
Yep.
But not truly a
it's the same on my
a multi-spotlight. Okay, I'm gonna get in on my phone as well here.
Same on my Android.
Portal,
Okay.
same.
And here is an interesting thing. You can see that in this orientation, it's cutting off parts of it. But if I turn it the other way, then it shows full pictures of people. So doing an iPhone landscape is chopping off heads.
Yeah, mine doesn't chop off in either orientation. And I got the Android with the Galaxy 10. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Was that
Sorry.
me or?
That was me. Okay.
Okay, so we still have a double spotlight.
Yeah, so yeah, I got my phone and my iPad up. So my iPad shows everything looking really good, actually. So I'll share that real quick. Not share, but visually share. You can see I'll just point to it. This iPad right here, and in fact, is supporting the spotlighting. So if I add another spotlight, we can see it come up there and so forth. So that is quite promising. That either the bigger device or the newer device. I mean, it's the new M1 iPad, so it's as fresh as you can get. And I don't know where how sensitive the clients are to an older iPad versus a newer iPad. Anybody else have an iPad in the meeting right now?
Very old.
Very old.
Very
And you're logged into the meeting as well with it?
It's working fine.
You can see the spotlights and all?
Yes, if I'm in speaker view, it does show the spotlights.
Okay,
I haven't
cool.
figured out how to pin anyone on an iPad though.
I'm going to remove the spotlights now.
I think you hold in the video, where you double tap inside the video screen to bring up the pop-up menu for pinning on an
Okay.
iPad. It's something you do it in one of the gallery.
You are so smart, Dan. You have to be in gallery view and tap the nose. Yes.
Yeah, this is kind of cool, actually. If I'll zoom in on this a little bit. So I've got my iPad up with that thumbnail of the gallery, if you will. And if I just double bounce on anybody I want to bring to the big screen, it's just that quick and easy to do. So
Is that overriding your spotlight or is this with no spotlight?
I don't have a spotlight defined right now, so let me add that to the mix. We got Hasmik up on a spotlight now, and if I double click Ray, yeah, the spotlight wins. So that functionality, while there's an active spotlight, is gone. All right. So let's take an inventory of who as in not people but devices that we have in here. I have an iPhone 8. I have a new iPad Pro M1. I have a Windows PC. I have a MacBook Pro, and that's it. Who can expand that list? I've got in chat an
Portal.
iPhone 12. I have a Portal.
I can
Did
tell
the
you what
Portal
I
support?
had if I could figure out how to figure out what I had.
Did the Portal support all the spotlights and all as well? None.
Nope.
Just active speaker.
Active speaker.
Okay.
And gallery.
Yeah.
I don't have the Portal TV hooked up, but I'm assuming that's the same version of their
I would guess.
TV.
Roland says got a Samsung Android tablet and a Windows laptop. Can a couple of you join the meeting if you have a? Well, actually, you don't have to use a different account. You can use the same account, because my ask is if you can join the meeting with a browser, either Safari or Chrome, Firefox, something like that. What's really happening here today is I'm just taking attendance so that I can, tell the world that we had the biggest turnout ever, when actually it was like 3 people, 3 count for everybody. The numbers are rising. All right, let me know. Somebody, whoever logs in with a browser. I'm out of machines at the moment, but whoever logs in with a browser, let me know, and we'll test a couple things there too, because that's probably your weakest hit, is going to be like a Chromebook and a browser attendee, browser-based attendee.
Can you log in with both a browser and through the zoom.us app on the same machine?
You should be able to, actually. Yeah, the web browser is pretty friendly and loose, if you will, on using the same credentials, and you'll have to tell us whether it lets the camera be used by both at the same time.
Okay.
Sign into Zoom with email to attend, Froland. I took both of those requirements off today.
So I'm unable to log in both through the app and through the web browser. When I log in through the web browser, it just punches me back to the app.
Gotcha.
It shows me where I am in the meeting.
Oh, wait a minute. Here's something else I can click.
I'm
I
trying
got
2 different logins, but it won't take the different account.
And Roland, are you in joining just by typing in the ID and password, meeting ID and password?
Correct. Went to zoom.us, told it to join meeting, typing in ID, and I'm right now doing it again, clicking on the bottom where it says join from your browser. So I'm not letting it engage Zoom.
Yeah, I tried that.
One of the things I may not have turned off, I think there is a separate option for web clients in particular. And let me double check that.
Trying to get into my browser. It's telling me that I'm not authorized because I have to use an email address that's authorized
Yeah.
for the meeting.
Yep. Second time getting the same thing, different browser.
So I have to sign in with an authorized
Hello.
email address. Yeah, it's just kind of going in circles. Work that way.
Let's see if I can find this. Show. Yeah, I thought there was a limiting piece of this as well, but I don't see that. Let's go to webinar. Only authorized users can join. Is not on this time. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so there is an option that I missed. It says only authenticated users can join meetings from web client, and so I did not get that one turned off. I'll turn it off. I don't. It may in fact change on the fly. It may let you in now. That type of an option, I think, may in fact not be tied to when the meeting's already running.
Getting busy.
Hey, getting a little further, it's wanting the meeting code now. Didn't do that before.
Yeah.
Joining.
So on my MacBook Air, when I try to log on from the browser, it automatically pushes me over to the app because the app exists on this computer. I don't know if that's a Mac thing or not.
So if there might be a link at the bottom of that web page that says join from browser, small text.
Lois,
think
I
you
think
have.
you
Let's see if that will
maybe
bypass it.
So if you go back to, sorry, now I'm hearing myself. It's very crazy. Yeah, stop that from happening. Okay. So if you went back to the Zoom web page, there's a link on there that says use a browser. If you're having trouble, use a browser. So if you can find that, then it'll let you join both ways. That's what it did for me.
So I'm working on it now.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized how much I rely on cut and paste when I'm on a different device and I have to do it by hand.
Jeff, you're muted.
Thank you, Ray. Do we have a web browser in and on, and you're looking at it? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead
I'm
and
almost there.
spotlight. What web browser are you signed in on? What type? Not hearing.
I'm on Chrome and I only get gallery view.
I have Microsoft Edge.
Okay.
I'm on Edge.
All right. So I've got
I'm on
one
Firefox,
spotlight.
but-
I've got two spotlights. I hulkified Marcus when I spotlighted him, and he turned green there. You use an NDI, Marcus?
Yeah, I'm coming in via NDI
Yeah.
through vMix. Does that
Yeah.
happen every time?
It does, and it's kind of it's a bit of an old problem now, a little bit of an old problem, but reinstalling. If you haven't done an update on NDI lately, and they don't make it easy because they don't really announce updates and they don't even revision the numbers when they do have an update. They still call it the same thing. But I would remove and reinstall the NDI tools. You may also have an NVIDIA card. If you have an NVIDIA card, I would definitely make sure that you get the latest driver updated to that, and then naturally the latest on vMix. And if you get all that together, it should go away because there were definitely some things out of sync, especially vMix. If you haven't updated lately, I don't remember what version, but there was a version, one of the last major release they had. They finally, after a long time, they finally upgraded their licensed version of NDI as well. So they were kind of the cause for a while, but NVIDIA said they owns part of it as well. So those updates should fix that. It used to happen to me all the time, and I have exactly the same video chain.
Yeah, I have the latest vMix. It's a bit strange. But NDI 5 should be released soon, so I think I'll probably just wait on that.
Yeah, you can wait for that as well. All right. So whoever's on the browser, do you see the dual spotlight?
I just got a mess over here. I don't know what I'm seeing.
Andrew, is that a yes, you see it, or you have a question as well?
No, I see it too.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to add a third one. Got Tony up there now. So, all right. So the browsers are supporting the multi-spotlighting.
Mine isn't. I just joined, and I don't know if it was because I joined after you spotlighted people. Let me try.
Should not be because of that.
Let me try.
This is my first time to be on Zoom, so.
Ah, very good. Well, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Do you guys use multi-spotlight a lot?
Say that one more time. Do we use what?
Multi-spotlight. Do you use
I
that
do.
a whole bunch?
I mean, I don't necessarily in the Zoom test kitchen, but the work that I do, productions that I do, when they're tied to Zoom only, and it's not a vMix production, then multi-spotlighting is really popular in the sense that you have, a panel. There's no other way to show a panel than multi-spotlighting. You'll have a spotlight 100% of the show or meeting if you have ASL interpreters, and because you always have the speaker with the signer next to them, and so you have a dual spotlight there as well. The downfall is we haven't gone to the stream yet, but I'll fire up a stream. Have most of you streamed from Zoom? Had Zoom take care of the streaming for you? If that's a no for the most part, I will.
Yeah, I've never done it.
I'll share my screen, and you can go directly to Facebook or directly to YouTube and provide credentials and so forth, or you can do a RTMP feed as well. And what it does when I select that is it pops up a web console, and it asks for the streaming URL, the streaming key, and then what's the page to send them to as well. So I am, bear with me just a moment. I'm gonna go to YouTube and set up a stream.
Connected, by the way, with one of my room connector licenses.
Oh, cool.
It's actually software running on a laptop, but it's the same Polycom stuff. So that's what I see with the Polycom software running on a laptop.
How can I disable the speaker on my iPad?
Oh, got some music coming through, folks. That might be me. Good old YouTube auto starts. My apologies. Did you guys hear that or just me?
No.
Okay, good.
Did not hear it yet.
Sounded
Nope.
quite interruptive, but I guess it was just in my ear. Okay.
Guys, is there a way to disable the speaker on your iPad? Because I've carried the volume all the way down.
I was kind of trying to mess with the same thing earlier, and
Funky,
all the
yeah.
way down isn't all the way down, and you still
Yeah,
hear
You have to
audio leakage.
disconnect the audio.
Yeah.
You have to disconnect it. It'll still keep the stream up and everything, so it's just the audio that you disconnect.
Ah, okay, yeah, that works.
So is someone keeping track of which devices are able to do or unable to do certain things? Or somebody maybe going to go through the recording later and make up a chart for us?
Don't know that there is anybody doing that at the moment. Lois.
I'm not.
Streaming software.
Yeah.
I've almost got this key ready to roll for me.
So Safari did not see your spotlights, and I cannot even switch between gallery and speaker, and I'm using Safari on an old MacBook.
Yeah, I have no spotlights right now. Was that information from earlier or now? Because I don't have spotlights up.
It was from earlier. I didn't want to interrupt what you were doing.
Okay, all right. So old version of like talking how what's the age of the Mac?
I don't know the age of the Mac. Let's see if I can find that out. I got the operating system. Let me see what I can see here. It says.
Lois, yeah, if you go in the top left corner for the Apple menu about this Mac, it'll tell you the year and model.
2012, 11-inch mid 2012.
2012, yeah. It's back there a bit, but good to know. Let's see, because we had all the other browsers.
What version of Safari are you? What version of Safari is that?
Just a moment. It is 11.0.1. For that's a 2017 version.
Trying to start the stream now.
Looks like I have about a 3-second audio delay from when I see your guys' lips move to when I actually hear it come through on Chrome browser.
Okay, so everybody got a notification on the live stream that started, right? You get notifications on that. You'll get notifications on NDI being enabled in Zoom rooms, and also naturally the recording, which we've seen for quite a while and just got a little bit more forceful when it became audible as well. All right, so here, let me.
Check. I got a notification on my phone, which is the Galaxy 10. I did not get any notifications on my web browser.
So the browser, is that somebody else who has the browser open, can they concur that they didn't get the notification on the browser? Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Or the iPad or the iPhone.
I definitely
None on
have
my
it on
iPad.
my iPad. I got it. I'm just going to clear that now, actually.
The only one I got was on the computer.
Yeah, I didn't get one on my iPad.
And I see it currently on Facebook Live.
I got it on the Android phone.
Yeah, I just
good.
cleared that, Ray.
All right, thanks.
That was sitting there. Thank you.
What'd you say,
The-
Andre?
Sorry. Information on the Android phone.
In the chat is the stream that I'm sending out there of this meeting. So if you guys want to pull that up in a browser, you'll see that on YouTube, and then we'll do some of these tests just the same. So this is an RTMP stream out to YouTube from Zoom. No vMix. vMix is still streaming to Facebook, but Zoom has been told to RTMP stream this meeting. So I'm seeing the gallery view. Some of you have that up already. Just raise a hand when we do. Got Marcus there. Okay, Frolan.
This is cool.
Okay. Ray, you have that? Okay. So now the test is, because this is an audience. This is your audience potentially as well. I mean, I've had a few events that they want, you know, all the speakers to come into Zoom, but they have no Zoom audience, and all they want to do is stream it of the speakers. And so now you have to be especially aware of what's the streaming audience actually going to be seeing, because I can promise you it's not going to be what you think they're seeing. And so the gallery view is there. I'm going to, as a matter of fact, I mean, in the Zoom client, it shows active speaker, does it not? On most of your clients, you're seeing me, you know, in the big picture, and unless you have forced it back to gallery view, but you'll primarily see active speaker. I'm seeing it on my my Mac. I'm seeing it on the stream out there to Facebook and so forth. So now I'm going to spotlight Dan. I definitely see it in Zoom. And we'll have to wait probably about 20 seconds. Okay. So we've got a spotlight of Dan on YouTube. So that one carried
It
through.
works. It works on YouTube.
And then I'm going to spotlight Ray. So I'll double spotlight. So now I've got, well, I had. Interesting. Every time I try to double spotlight, it kicks it out.
Yeah, so I discovered this recently.
Yeah, this is new.
I had a webinar that we needed to stream. And what I did was I ended up taking a computer that was logged in as an attendee and using OBS to stream.
Yeah,
So
this is not what it used to do. I think they are trying to quiet their help desk down a little bit, because it would let you, like, spotlight Dan in turn. I don't know if you guys see this splash of a double spotlight, but I'm going to spotlight, add Ray as a second spotlight. 3, 2, 1. There he is, and he went away. And I went right back to Dan. Did you guys see that on the Zoom client? Not YouTube, but on the Zoom client?
Yes.
And so it
Is that going through to YouTube? Is the flash going through?
no. So double inside and then back to 1. Very interesting.
What
This
version?
this is
I know
something.
they released 5.7.1. Did you bug fixes?
Yeah, I don't think this is a bug. I think this is what it is. I'm going to stop the stream, the live stream from Zoom to YouTube, and I bet it will start double spotlighting again without a problem. And so I'm going to add Ray.
I mean, coming to think of it, on office hours, I've never seen a double spotlight on YouTube.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I was no, it did not. It didn't loosen it up.
It flashed and left.
Yeah, internally, and that behavior started when I was streaming, but
How about
now
if you
now that I
switch-
stopped streaming, it didn't. I was thinking it might be able to come back as a function, but it looks like if it's a function and not a bug, we're now stuck in a meeting that we can't multi-spotlight.
Can you switch the host to one of your other machines? That might break it loose.
Let me do it to my iPad. I'll do it to the OSC
Or switch the host and then switch it back.
machine. The OSC machine is now the host. I spotlight me, spotlight, add a spotlight of Ray, and that stayed. Then
If you switch it back now, will it work on the one you used to stream from?
Yeah, that's where I'm heading. Reclaim.
And
So
by the way,
now I'm back to host. Go ahead.
So on a Chrome browser, I see the spot. On my MacBook, I actually lost the spot.
So now I moved the host. I bounced back to myself as the host. I removed the spotlights, and now I'm going to build them up again. So spotlight.
Nope.
And
It was flash and go again.
Yeah, it keeps bouncing. That's super interesting. Not good behavior. I might actually have to report that one officially and find out what's going on there. All right. Well, so historically, multi-spotlights don't stream. I mean, I was all kind of mentally set up to, show that in the whole bit, but I can't. So
have we successfully had multi-spots since Lois's old MacBook joined?
I don't know the timing of that. I know that I noticed it after
The live stream?
I started live streaming, so I don't know timing wise how that coincided with Lois's
And he
older
just
Mac.
did a double stream on his other machines. I mean, double spotlight. So it worked there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something. There's something that's been triggered on my desktop, the original host. I'm gonna make my.
Oh, but if you leave the meeting and come back, that do it? Reset yourself?
Possible, but I'm not gonna go quite that far right now.
Of course, that would probably break your Facebook stream, huh?
I already killed the Facebook stream thinking it could. So on my iPad, if I double click on like I'm in gallery view right now, and I can just double tap Ray. It pops up a menu to unmute, stop, chat. So it's acting like the 3-dot, square on the top right corner on a desktop. But if I just double tap, I can quickly do the spotlight. and that flashed as well. And I'm doing this, I made my iPad the host.
Are you doing pinning or spotlighting?
Spotlight. So there, yeah. So interesting. So my iPad gets the same behavior as a result. When I moved the host to a Mac, it multi-spotlighted. When I went back to my PC, the original host, it had the bad behavior again of not being able to hold a multi-spotlight. And now I changed host to the iPad, and it has the same behavior as my PC of
Is
not
that
being able to
OSC?
multi-spotlight.
Is it OSC that makes the difference?
It could be the OSC client, because that is the client that's running on that Mac. And
Jeff, did you spotlighting within a co-host, not with a host?
no, I've only done spotlighting so far today with host, not
Yeah,
co-host.
but could you try if it's possible to do it with a co-host?
Yeah,
If
so
you
my
give one of your
my
machines-
main PC is the host now. So I will, from my Mac. Well, I'm not going to do it on this Mac because that's the OSC Mac. But let me do it on
Maybe
my
Ray could. Isn't
iPad
he a
again.
co-host?
What's that?
Maybe Ray could. Isn't he a co-host?
He is.
We see your lips moving, but no sound.
You can't hear me? You should
Now
be
we
able to
can.
hear me. All right, so spotlight Dan for my iPad. Add a second spotlight of Ray. And it flashed 2 and then went back. So that's from a co-host perspective. So yeah, not sure. Have to try to chase this down and at least get it reported. Interesting. So
Just what you like to do, break things.
yeah, not too often do we find these things. And commonly they're behaviors that we can, find a workaround on, have kind of a reason, why. I'm not in the mood to restart the meeting right now to, see if triggering it in fact was the live stream. It almost makes sense to me that the live stream triggered limiting multi-spotlights, because it creates the expectation of that's going to get delivered out there, and it never has. And but of all the pop-up messages and alerts that they've got crammed down our throats right now, that should be one, is that because you've done a live stream, enabled a live stream, you'll no longer be able to multi-spotlight. I mean, that's if it's intended behavior, that should be a notice that comes up on at least the host or co-host screen that lets you know that you can't multi-spotlight. And if it is triggered behavior because the live stream got started, then it should be able to be untriggered when you kill the live stream as well. So, I'll get that submitted accordingly, because that's the biggest one outside of the topic of recordings. Recordings definitely are like most people's nemesis. Ed Willick has spent a ton of time doing, records and so forth. He's much better versed on that than I am. And but what it's recording, what you're going to end up with, how can you create and know what you're going to get as a result and so forth. That's pure trickery for sure. I streamed to a Vimeo platform a week or two ago, and the share, even though I had like 2 speakers spotlit when the share got started, which is normally a share plus 2 thumbnails, right? The 2 spotlighted folks. It was in Vimeo, it was the share, and in the top right corner was just the active speaker, period. Never would show the second speaker unless they became the active speaker, which, you know, it was an okay compromise, but you know, it certainly wasn't what was visually expected from, you know, the individual switching it and so forth. So streams definitely, record second to that, give you some fairly unanticipated results if you don't do a lot of practicing with it. Somebody had their hand up, Lois.
So, yeah, while you've been talking and doing things, I've been playing around with these. I now have 4 screens in front of me. It's kind of bizarre. On the browser, and again, this is an old Safari on an old MacBook, I have no capability of saving the chat, nor do I on my phone, nor on the iPad. I can save the chat on the computer, but not on any of those other 3 devices. So any of you who are running meetings and you're using chat for information, maybe you will want to make an email later to send to your participants, because some of them are not going to be able to save it themselves.
Yeah, so yeah, so certain devices, certain clients, you know, like web browsers, you know, depending on what device the web browser is on, I can see it being a little difficult because, you know, like tablets and phones, of course they technically have a file system, but not a very accessible file system. You know, what they call a file system is, you know, giving it all your credentials to your Dropboxes and Box.coms and, you know, Google Drives and so forth. It's everybody else's file system. So I can see where some of that has a breakdown, because I just confirmed as well. I do not, there's a back-end setting that allow meeting participants to send a message visible to all participants, but it also prevent participants from saving chat, and I do not have that option turned on, which means everybody can save from chat. And then I'd be tempted to go back and to the comparison table that we looked at earlier under chat, and mark, edit, delete, save images, add messages, view. Nothing more on save the chat. Yeah, they didn't actually delete your sent, edit, sent, mark message. Yeah, they don't actually attend to saving in this comparison chart.
If it's me and I want to save it on a tablet or an iPhone, I am savvy enough to know how to open the chat and then take a screenshot. But that's not something you would tell your participants in a meeting unless it's this meeting.
Yeah, and I think that made me think of another feature on the back end that I think exists. Yeah, so if it's an iOS device, mobile device, I actually have it turned on already. It says blur snapshot on iOS app switcher. So enable this option to hide potentially sensitive information on the app switcher screen from Zoom. This screen will be shown only when multiple apps are open. Oh, I see. So when you're showing, like when you swipe up halfway on a new iOS device, you see all the apps that are open, kind of like Task Manager, and it will blur, kind of like banking apps. When you have that, they show the logo of the bank versus the ledger that you were on when you switched over to the other app and came back, and so they protect that data. All right. That's the basis of it. I think we lost our way a little bit, unfortunately, on the streaming part of it. I would have liked to have been able to test a little bit more on you know, what it's actually capturing to stream, but we lost but multi-spotlighting had a lot to do with that as well. There is the API version, which instead of we did the RTMP. Here, I'll bring this up again. Share. You should try this out sometime if you haven't yet. And so on this, you have the live. We did the live on custom live streaming service. When you select that, then it takes you to a browser. Well, it's configured, so now it's trying to start the stream again, which I'm fine with, but that's because it's configured. So I want to stop that and say live on let's say live on Facebook. It pops up this and basically wants you to sign in. It's requesting access to it, and I can continue as Jeff. See who can see it. My friends don't care if they see something momentarily. Choose posting content. Read it. Choose what to allow. Okay. Now it has access, and now I can name it. It says share on my own timeline. It says I can share to a page. And so if I do that, then I can have access to the Zoom Test Kitchen page at that point, and I can simply go live. I don't have to copy and paste any URLs or stream keys or anything like that. And I believe you can get a higher quality video stream doing it this way because they're using the API instead. So I'm sharing that. If you wanted to go to the Zoom Test Kitchen Facebook page, not the group, but the page, you can probably go view this as well. Let's see, just for the heck of it, I'm going to stop the share. If I'm going to, in fact, go try to find this feed. Yeah. So this new stream is out there on the page right now. It's going out there at 1080 as well. And then the question is, I'm pretty sure that's the one. If I spotlight myself, if I spotlight, add a double spotlight of Ray, yeah, it's still limiting me there. So that's a bummer. It didn't happen to change anything there. But you have a couple of ways to do it. And you are going to, I think if I would have tested that to Facebook, and looked while I was streaming, it probably would have shown a 720p stream because it was via RTMP into Facebook, and that's the way they treat them. Some of the world's under the impression you can't stream anything higher than 720 to Facebook, and that's just not true. If you stream through a tool that uses that is an official partner with Facebook, you can absolutely get a 1080 stream out there. And vMix is a partner, Zoom is a partner, and there's others that I'm sure I'm not aware of, but that's how in fact they allow you to get. So the built-in one is going to get you your best quality for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that live stream. Okay, My phone's about dead now. It's hot. Tied in, I guess. Any questions, thoughts, additions, further tests, things that you want me to kind of dig into? That's what had been going through my mind. It's like, what haven't we done, in the test kitchen over time? And this was one of those big gaps, I think. So, Andre. Oh, you froze.
I'd be curious, Jeff, on the next test kitchen to try and repeat the bug and see if it's possible to trigger it again consistently. See if
Yeah.
anything changes.
Hey, anybody who wants to hang out after the kitchen is kind of officially done today, I'm happy to test right after this. I just don't want to bugger up the stream and the recording and so forth with that. But I'm happy to get after this right away to see. I kind of need to before I report it as a bug to know that it's absolutely repeatable, and I'll submit that with it if we can get that clarified. So anybody who would like to hang out after and just kind of reconnect, turn on a stream and so forth a few times, I'd love to have you, because I need at least a few people to do it. Roland?
Yeah, just from the testing we've done today from the different devices, you can throw some feedback up to Zoom. I think we found there are some features that don't carry on to all devices, and the functions and buttons are not always as consistent. And different platforms do work a little differently, but it'd be nice if maybe they would try to standardize where, like, okay, on a tablet or a small device, can you not remove the window? And is there a checkbox for it, or is it a swipe? Or if they would get a consistency in some of the buttons in the same place, so that a host could always say, well, if you go up to the right corner, you'll find this option, like Lois found, renaming on a tablet versus renaming on a desktop. So just some consistency.
Yeah, and I'll say I think they're pretty aware of it, and they are. I mean, I've seen features over time, continue to get added on platforms. They've made huge advancements on the iOS platform for sure on those devices of new features and new features. I think it just plain old takes time, and I can't imagine, having the responsibilities they've got, because that's pretty common for sure. I did just see something on my iPad I had forgotten about. Is center stage. It says turn on or turn off center stage, and they said, I think it's supposed to be tracking, and I don't want to get in the way of that camera. So my camera, you can see my second one. What did I name it? Jeff iPad. I'm supposed to be able to move this, and it's supposed to track the host spotlighted. I don't want to unmute somebody to spotlight me, Ray, but I'm not necessarily seeing the tracking.
Jeff,
yeah.
I think the way it works is the iPad is stationary and you move, and that's the way it works, I believe.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, naturally. So it has a little bit of panning room there, and it's adjusting a zoom now as well. That's interesting. See if it has any more zoom out. Nope. But if I go back, it may zoom in. Yeah, interesting. Doesn't look like it has a ton of wiggle room, but it certainly has some. I can see it making some adjustments for. Thanks for managing that. And thanks for that heads up as well. Yeah. So that'd be good. I don't have a mount right now for this iPad quite yet. So I think once I get a mount, I want to play with that.
Yeah, I want to say that I think if you have it in a stand, or either like maybe if you were in the kitchen or something like that, I think then you would see where it would actually follow you around in the kitchen.
Yeah, like the Facebook portals, I guess, right? and that'd be quite cool. Yeah, I'll have to give
I have
that
a question.
give that a
I have a
shot.
question about it,
Yeah,
Jeff.
you bet.
So, how long have you had it?
Oh, a week.
Are you happy with it?
So far, everything I've done with it, I love. I mean, it's super lightweight. It's so powerful. I mean, everything. I've never even seen an ounce of a stutter. And I although I'm not a gamer, I as a private pilot, I love to flight sim, and I ran one of the hardest flight simulators on the iPad Pro, and I cranked the graphics up as high as they'll go, and it just performed super smooth. So I've been really impressed with all that. I haven't, and I haven't. I did Filmic on my iPhone, which is an old 8, but I want to run Filmic Pro on this iPad as well. I'm testing one of the motivators to go acquire it was I'm beta testing this new Cinemaker release that they're working on, and so I've ran. That's mostly what I've done on it. Is this I've launched Cinemaker Director on it to manage some cameras coming into it, and switching them, and that's worked really flawlessly as well.
The reason I was asking is because I'm looking at getting one. I just wanted to see if it was. I have the 2020, but it's the 11-inch, and I was just wondering if you thought it's worth the upgrade from the 2020.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't compare that, but all I can say is this is the 11-inch iPad Pro 3rd generation, they call it on the model. It's the one with the M1 chip end, I guess. But yeah, I can't compare that necessarily, but I can say so far I'm completely happy with what this thing's doing.
Do you think that you might use it in your work, or is it primarily for
you know, I will say I probably it would have taken me a lot longer if I would have ever considered it before. Now I'll use it in my work. I'll tell you how in particular. I've put to use my old iPad, and now it will be this one for my PTZ camera controller, and I use it as a separate external device. I have a joystick from way back when, an old Sony joystick for PTZs, but the precision and the speed controls and the smoothness that I can get out of the PTZ, what's it called? It's for PTZ optics. Let me look it up real quick. The app is called Pan Tilt Zoom, and has all the presets, and there's a beta of a new version that's coming out as well that is just, it's amazing. And so the control that I've got over it works for me a ton better than a joystick. A joystick, it's just bouncy, to get small moves, and the further you're zoomed in, the harder it is to make it smooth because it's so zoomed in and all that as well. So I use that a lot. I would have never really imagined using it as a switcher, like the switcher and the streamer. It's the encoder as well, and that's what Cinemaker, does, right? And but going through this beta test right now with them, I think I'd do it. I'd have to, go get a couple more devices, but if I've got a good wireless, network and to be able to, I just can't hardly get over the, kind of the excitement on a small gig, whether it's a small church thing or a quartet or whatever the small gig is, or maybe even just a simple meeting, to be able to walk in with like 3, iPhones or similar type devices and my iPad and 4 tripods, and that's it. Like I'm just going, I could do that and not even have to power them hard power them with cords if I knew the meeting was only like a 60-minute meeting or something like that. I mean, it would all function off the battery just fine. So those kinds of opportunities, like the ultra portable, kit and so forth, and I'd probably have to make the investment to carry my own wireless router so that I create my own network with a quality wireless device and have no contention of anybody else. So anyways, that part's getting me thinking a lot as well. So there will definitely be a time I do that. And the fact is our church, I have like nine chapels that have been streaming with a single phone with Larix broadcaster installed, and we have really good quality Meraki wireless devices in the buildings, and so we've been doing it wireless, and it's just been really flawless. That's a place. I have a place to go test this, and I could go sit on one of the pews, and now I could set up maybe 2 cameras, when there's a special musical number, and switch to that and switch back to the pulpit and so forth. I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, I didn't ever want to do that before because it's a significant investment of time to set up and cable up and all that jazz. Where a setup like this with like a Cinemaker would really be attractive.
Interesting. And I think I mentioned that I was being asked about suggestions for helping some family members with a wedding. And I ended up at the last minute having to come in with an iPad Pro and an iPhone. And it actually wasn't awful. It wasn't bad. But it was like a last minute thing, and the iPhone was in the back of the room and the iPad Pro was in the front of the room, and it got most of it. And maybe sometime I can share the video with you. It's only about 20 minutes long. But there were some things that I learned about it that I think might be helpful for this community. Cool. And one of the things that I learned is that you got to make sure that you have adequate sound, and you have to have someone on location to make sure that you can adjust those devices in that setting. And I was remote trying to share the wedding with those who, because of COVID, couldn't be there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Thank you for that, Jeff.
Yeah, no, you bet. Yeah, if you ever want to, do some testing with somebody, feel free to reach out to me, and be happy to be involved as well. Anybody else have anything in particular? And you're welcome to go completely off this topic at this point. I mean, I think we've exhausted this one as far as we can. When we end the meeting, like I said, we can try to find the trigger of what caused it. First thing, I mean, kind of think that through. As I think I'll end the meeting, but I'll restart it without restarting my Zoom client, because I want to see if it's stuck in my client first, and so I'll end the meeting and I'll simply restart it. If some of you want to join me, then I'll make sure if multi-spotlighting immediately doesn't work, then I'll know it's stuck in the client, and then I'll kill the Zoom client, I'll restart it, and then try to confirm that I can in fact get it back. So you just have to kind of logically, go through this. So think that through. Anybody who wants to stick around, think it through and share with me your thoughts on that, so we get some really good identity. Dominique?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what audio mixer do you use with your system?
I use a MixPre 3. Let's see if I'm still in here. Oh, did I kill my? I think I killed my Zoom. Oh, here, I got this one. If I go over here and tweak the position here. This Mix Pre 3 is just a small 3. I think it has more, but it has 3 XLR inputs, 2 on the left side, 1 on the right side, plus an aux in and USB as well. So it's USB connected to, I am in my meeting here. Trying to find out where's my camera in the meeting.
Jeff, that's a cool cascading camera effect there on your tablet, on your tablet, on your tablet, on your tablet, on your tablet.
There we go. So you got a couple of different pictures. You can see the PTZ version of it or the iPad version of it here. But anyways, it's called a Mix Pre. It's called from Sound Devices, and they make a bunch of them. And they're not. I'll say they're not your budget device, if you will. But they're they're a professional quality device. As far as what that means is, the sound floor, that hum, that buzz, that hiss it doesn't exist on this device. It if you introduce fans and environmental noise, but devices, the cheap budget devices, even in a quiet room, will create their own noise floor. The sound devices has some great quality. So
You have the noise assist on that, Jeff?
this Mix Pre original series, I don't believe supports noise, the noise assist plugin. It's the Mix Pre 3.2 that introduced that, as I understand it. It does have what do they call it? I go into one of the tracks. It has some noise. It has a low cut per channel, and then it also it has under the system settings. It's all touchscreen configurable. It has limiters as well, so it keeps the the unexpected explosions of noise to a hard stop, so that helps. But the noise assist would be great for sure. Andre?
Yes, I try again. So a question to muting or double muting. I had a situation where one remote guest made some noise before he was on stage, so I had to mute him. And when like, oh, I'm muted, and he didn't realize to click two times. And so, do I, as a host, have the possibility to unmute even if he doesn't click, or does he have to accept this anyway?
Well, so let me dig into what I think I heard. I almost felt like I heard you say double muting meant that he needed to double click to unmute, and then I don't know if that's.
Yeah, so once on his microphone and once on the little dialogue that says you to get unmuted.
I got you. Yeah.
Because
okay,
beforehand
so.
I had to mute.
Yeah.
Muted himself. I had to mute him. He didn't realize this, and then he unmuted. Didn't check the dialogue, and and he was a little bit nervous and didn't see this dialogue that said please unmute yourself.
The answer is the answer to that. It's I'll show you. Let me share screen again, and so if you well, let's see. I think I got it here. If you go into your when you're scheduling a meeting, and when you're scheduling that meeting, you have this option to request permission to unmute participants, and I have that selected for this meeting as well. But if you've answered it once in the past, you don't get request it again because I've already been given permission. But that's your best bet. This doesn't guarantee, I mean, it does promise you that you'll be able to unmute them as a host without popping up a request to them to unmute. But they still have to answer yes to be able to make it work, right? And so as long as they say yes, then you have the power to do that.
Right, but as long as they don't click yes, muted, right?
Yeah, if they don't click yes and authorize you to do it as a host, then you're stuck. You the best you can do, if I mute you, which I will, and I unmuted you, I can tell you you've answered yes to that question.
Yes.
But if you had not answered yes, or you could even, like, is that a forever thing? And it happens, I do believe it applies to, you've authorized me to unmute you in any meeting I host that you're a part of, not just this meeting. But if you want to undo that, if you want to divorce yourself from that decision, you can go under your settings, your audio settings, and in your audio settings, in your audio settings, you can go here, people who can unmute you, click on manage, and you can see who those people are, and you can remove them from the list. And so I wanted Alex not to be able to do that anymore, just remove them from the list and be done. So you can actually reverse that. I can't reverse it, but you can reverse it because you're the one who authorized it, if you will. But they do have to answer yes. Otherwise, compliance on Zoom's part is they have to agree to that. And they'll probably never allow us to turn the cameras on because you just never know what you're going to end up seeing, right? And
So then this guy should have answered no, because I have checked this option to unmute the participants, and maybe he said no, and so I wasn't able to unmute him because yes.
I don't think no is sticky. I think yes is sticky, but I don't think no is sticky because the only list it keeps for an individual is who they've whitelisted. They don't have a blacklist in that area. You know what I'm saying? So if I went back to that setting there under manage, it's only a whitelist. It's not a blacklist. So they're not keeping track of somebody saying no. That he should be getting asked again. And if they're not getting asked again, I would say that's probably the client or platform that they're joining the meeting on that may have some weakness to that pop-up question. That would be my thoughts.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you bet.
So Jeff, is that in like for a recurring meeting? Is that list for you just in recurring meetings with Alex, or is it with any meeting that Alex hosts?
Any meeting that Alex hosts under, I'm assuming behind the name Alex, is there must be like a host ID or his account or something like that, because it applies to any meeting that that Alex, which is /host account, hosts, then it won't prompt me. He'll just have that power to do so.
Jeff, we just see your keyboard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's the director in me. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not playing director right now, as you can tell.
I know. I'm trying to help. But
I know.
You have four instances.
Like this guy is
you.
lost, man. Sorry for being so spacey. All right. I'm gonna disconnect my iPad as well. Any other questions, dig-ins, research? I love research. That was my primary agenda item, and I don't normally show up to or even advertise the invitations with an agenda attached necessarily, but I wanted to let everybody know about that one in particular. Let me ask real quick while a few of you are still here. What got you here today? What reminds you every week that have you added it to your calendar as a recurring? Because I really don't publish. I've tried to keep up with, but I don't do a very good job of keeping up with publishing, like a calendar that will just drop in. Could try to do a better job with that. Or I do build the invitations in Facebook, each Thursday and Friday morning for Zoom OSC and the Zoom Test Kitchen. There's Facebook invitations, and then every once in a while, and I did it today, and I try to do it more often, is I have the mailing list, if you will, of everybody who's registered for the test kitchens. I send that out, and I did that today as well, just because I had a little bit more to say about this topic, and saying, hey, upgrade, bring some devices, things like that. I don't like to try to get quite that verbose on the Facebook invitations in particular. So what do you see, and what reminds you most often? Go ahead.
I'll jump in. So I have it on my calendar as a recurring calendar event. And the link that I have in there, which I've tried to fix several times, was the pre-event where before you added security. And so that link never works for me. And so then I always find myself last minute going back and registering and signing up again, waiting for the email. And sometimes I get, caught up with something I'm working on, and then, 20 minutes goes by, and then an hour, whatever. The email that you sent out this morning earlier, I knew it had a good link in it, and I was at a point where I, mentally was able to click on the link and join in on time. So I found that super helpful.
Oh, cool. Good to know. Good to know. Let me, well, and you can grab the meeting link inside your client as well, but I can put it in the chat right now too. That's the direct link. Well, and this link worked today because the link that I sent was post me making the changes. So I removed require registration, and I removed that you had to be authenticated, and then I grabbed the link and sent that out. And that's what this one is. Normally, when you require registration, the link becomes a link to the registration page, and you'll end up there, and if you've been there before, it should be pre-populated, and you just kind of click through it, and you get a return page, and at the bottom it says join meeting in progress is commonly the experience. If you try to go to this meeting ID with the password of zKitchen directly, it should bounce you, I think, to the registration page, I think is its behavior. But test that out and see if you're registered, if it does that or not. The other thing, I don't know if you all know or not, but in the link that I just put in the chat, you can pretty easily see the meeting ID, right, in that URL. You can also see a password that's, fairly unreadable. It's certainly not zKitchen spelled out. But if you copied and pasted that password in that link and put it into the password of the Zoom client, it will work. Just as a heads up for you, you can actually use that. You kind of feel like you've only got half the information if you had to hand type it. That's not actually true. You can copy and paste that. It's not technically very encrypted, but it is cryptic, if you will, and it will work just fine for you. All righty.
So I got the invitation link from Discord today on the AV Tech Talk, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, but usually it's the Facebook pop-up.
Cool. Yeah, I do. The Facebook. Our biggest group of folks, I think we're heading towards about 800 folks or so, is the Facebook private group. The page, I have it there. I don't do a whole lot with it, but I do use it. I think I had to create it or something, but I don't really leverage a lot about it. But I create the Facebook group invitation first because that's the biggest membership area. So, but it doesn't send out direct invitations any longer because it exceeded. I think when it exceeded 500 members. It used to, I could create an invitation in the private group. It would ask me, do you want to send an invite to all the members of the group? And I'd say yes, and it was just done. But when it got over 500 members, it stopped making that offer and changed the offer to, do you want to send invitations to your friends? So now that's a subset, right? People who I'm actually Facebook friends with who are also members of this group. So that ends up being like, I don't know, 100 people or something, not very many in regards to all of them. And so I would have to, and I've done it several times, is I manually go through and click everybody, but it limits me to 500. So I can only do 500 out of the 800 members or so. And so it's a bit of a pain in the rear. So then what I do is I also create an invitation to, I can't share the invitation from the private group out to the Facebook world because it's a private group. And we've seen those posts that say content not available in Facebook. Well, that a lot of times that's why is I've shared something that came from a private area and the person I shared it with isn't a member of that, therefore it's content not available. And so I create the second invitation in the Facebook page for Zoom Test Kitchen, which is public, and that's what I created there, and that's the one I share on AV Tech Talks and Pro Zoom and Masters of Zoom and a few other groups that are out there as well. And then I think I always include the direct link to the meeting when I go to office hours and AV Tech Talks on Discord, and then on Slack is Liminal for Zoom OSC and also Tempo Live event. So that's kind of my distribution points. Always interested in kind of knowing how effective it's working, what gets your attention. If I were to kind of step up my game and get a recurring calendar event a link out there, would that be helpful to several of you in the sense that you'd click it, it would get on your calendar and pop up? I mean, I know if an appointment's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist, period. And so I really should try to practice on the push side of that. But yeah, Ray, go ahead.
I put it on my Google Calendar and it's there all the time. So,
yeah.
But I can't go on to any social media starting Wednesday night without seeing a half a dozen of your invitations. So I think you're doing a damn good job.
I'm overdoing it, is what you say.
No, and I think today we had a very good representation for a while, and this is the reason that you developed this so that we could. It is a workshop. It is a kitchen.
It is.
And today was the perfect example of everybody was engaged because everybody had an interest in the results.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback. Yesterday's Zoom OSC Test Kitchen was phenomenal as well. I mean, not just the content, but the turnout was like, holy moly. I actually don't really know why, because I didn't do anything different, but I will say today I got it out early. I woke up and did it versus woke up and did office hours and then did it. That's commonly right after office hours, I get them out, which gives you about 3 hours heads up. And I found out a long time ago that sending out invitations earlier than the day of the event, or the kitchen anyways, just doesn't work. I mean, the morning of has by far become the most effective, because guess what? If you can make it, you can make it. If you can't, you can't. And I'd rather remind you today for a today event than 3 days ago, and then have you forget about it as well. So it's just trying to find that magic spot. But I love getting together and figuring this stuff out. It is pretty exhilarating, quite honestly, because I just end up getting calls, from folks and jobs as well. I mean, sometimes the networking does come through. I had somebody ask me, "Well, I've been able to monetize." It's like, "Oh, monetize the kitchen." I mean, I guess I could kind of, but I don't try to do it mathematically because it is a network of people and professionals and so forth. But it would be really hard for me to measure that, hey, that work I did with Ray or for Ray or whatnot, literally came from the kitchen. I mean, Ray and I have been connected for too long to like attribute it to the kitchen necessarily, but and it's just one of those things. I just dig doing what we do and got some cover. I know Ray has covered for me. David Brady, Ed Willock, Ray Harris has had definitely had her hand up a couple of times, and so if any of you as well, wish to kind of join that pool, I can't be here every single Friday. I try to get here most of the time, but when I'm booked on a gig, I would like it to continue and the community to continue. And so if you feel like you are either at or would like get to that point where you'd be willing, or I think Ray, when you did it with David, even kind of come in with a partner and so forth. You just get on the list, and I'll send out a few asks and get some coverage so it can live on just because I'm working. So, anyways, Tony.
Jeff, I was just wondering, I started conversations with Tony Mobley about 4 weeks ago now, and the engagement has been, I think, good, just starting out. But I was wondering if you were, because I've been kind of announcing like Wednesday's show or Wednesday's conversation. I've already put some notices out about it. And I was just, since you were mentioning about the day of, I was wondering if maybe that's what I should try to focus on as well.
I'll add a little bit more to, I think without a shadow of a doubt, the day of is very effective. Now, whether that's the only invitation you have go out, or it's at least the reminder invitation that you send out the day of, that I think would be, up to you. I tend to think at this point, the Zoom Test Kitchen's been going for about a year solid now. For me to do anything more previous than the day of, I'm not sure what measurable benefit there would be from that, just because it has a good solid history at this point, where you might want to be in people's heads a little bit more right now until you get that that track record behind it, and then you may be able to lighten up on that if you so choose to. You might have that initial one, that one earlier in the week, come out, and maybe there's a little data in there, right? There's nuggets of knowledge and an invitation, and then the day of is simply a reminder of that day's meeting. And so yeah, I think there's a few ways. I think the marketing guru here, I think, is Ray, and so he's had some great help, that he's offered me, as well as Guy gave me nudges early, and that really helped a lot as well. So
You can overdo it, Tony. If you looked at your core audience, it's probably office hours, because we've got so many people in there and you've got such a good reputation and participated so often. I think as a marketing person, you want to decide where do you want to get the next group of people and start focusing on that. And it might be a church's audiences, since you're so closely connected there. And that's also where the most number of people are going to benefit from. I mean, it's a terrific conversations that you have. So I suggest that you start thinking about, instead of a shotgun approach, a rifle style, to pick a group, go to Facebook, do a Facebook group, join a couple of groups that you might be interested in Facebook or in LinkedIn, and post there. It's easier to measure results when you're targeting. That's a key thing, because you want to measure results in any marketing effort. I felt bad I couldn't be there last night, by the way.
Well, it's on the website. So I'm thankful that I actually have a website, and it is almost updated the next day. So it's I had a fantastic conversation with Liberty White.
She's amazing.
She is absolutely
super
amazing.
impressive. Yeah.
And who knew she was a drone pilot, a certified drone pilot?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it was an amazing conversation.
That's my
And
2 cents, Tony.
thank you, Ray. Appreciate that.
I got to run, guys. I have a 5:15 I have to get ready for.
Sounds
Peace.
good. Thanks, Ray. Always good to see you. And what time is it now? It's about that time, isn't it? If we want to wrap things up, I think we've certainly gotten through a lot of testing and visualization and so forth. If you have any other thoughts or questions or comments before we wrap things up, I'm certainly up for that. Talalik is here. I think he's just been listening. I've been trying to practice your first name pronunciation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And I heard you the other day, and I really appreciated the clarity on the early accent versus the latter accent, and it's just that T and L that us I don't know if it's Americans or English speakers or what, but it's an uncommon thing for our tongues to do. And so I literally, I've been every once in a while driving around in my car trying to practice and get a little muscle memory in that.
Yeah,
So
that TL sound, Tlaloc, yeah, it's very hard.
yeah. So no, I appreciate that. I appreciate you hanging out with us, and that's about all I've got. Next up would be, office hours, of course, every morning for those who tune in. Those who don't, you probably should. It's just so informative. And and AV Tech Talks on Monday evenings. And then a big thanks always to Guy and his team at the DVE store. The reason I say it and share it is they're just great people. But our 1080 Zoom account during the Zoom Test Kitchen is provided by them as well. So I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity to really, one, it provides a great experience, but it also provides a reality that I think a lot of people in the Zoom world don't know that can really actually be achieved. You see those posts, and every once in a while people are asking, what's an alternative platform to improve, the video resolution or whatnot. It's like, really? I mean, there are some maybe some options that have higher resolution by default, but they break down not break down as in fall all over themselves, but they tear down the resolution fast. The more people that join the meeting as well. I mean, anybody who develops solutions like a Zoom solution has to do that. They have to program algorithms that are efficient, bandwidth efficient, and manage that accordingly. So, anyways, I think it's great to be able to show it off and show just how good it can look, and really encourage folks to get after that. So I think it's going to continue to to grow in the fashion of hiring, and not only hiring a production company, but maybe even just a production company that can simply provide a nice solid 1080p platform, and maybe they provide the services, maybe they just provide the platform, and I think that's a reality that's around the corner as well, so that it can be achieved and be proud of what you're producing, and at the same time not have to overcommit yourself, because it's not inexpensive as well to actually get there individually. So anyways, anything else? Yeah.
I have missed so many of the Zoom OSC test kitchens and Zoom test kitchens. And I was just wondering, is there a repository on only on Facebook or also on YouTube? ?
Yeah, it's just Facebook right now, but one and two of my big to-dos is to get YouTube is, they say video searching, private groups, and so forth are supposed to become much better on Facebook, but I don't believe them. YouTube, like so much of what we have done historically, the world, if it was on YouTube, the world would know a whole lot more about it versus on Facebook. So it's one of my tasks. But right now, Facebook, the private group, Zoom OSC Test Kitchen, and the Zoom Test Kitchen. That's where you can find them all on. I actually stream to the page of the Facebook page of those areas first, and then I share them to the private groups as well. I cross post them, but so you can find them all there. I will say, out of maybe all the several that maybe you haven't been able to get to, yesterday's by far was phenomenal. It did. Andy did such a great job and just dumped so much data. I mean, just a real solid walkthrough demo on Zoom OSC, and the same thing on Zoom ISO. I mean, he shared and he built the Stream Deck, and he did it with Companion. And I mean, it was just like, there you go. That was just marvelous. And he's continued to build up his Companion presets. His presets rival any other vendor I've ever seen out there put presets out there. His presets, if you go in to say, hey, I want to build my Stream Deck to do this, his presets, if you're in a meeting while you're kind of developing your Stream Deck, you will see the names of the people in the current meeting you're in his presets. Like, I've never seen presets be dynamic and real, but they are, and it's just fantastic. So you really, as we continue to move on, you don't need to know anything about Zoom OSC any longer. As far as the syntax and the commands and stuff, that's almost a thing of the past, because you can just drag and drop and go. It's just incredible. So they've done a great job. That is in the Stream Deck world, Stream Deck Companion world. So that's good stuff. Well, for the sake of the stream, let me wrap this up with slides and music, and if you want to stick around, you certainly can. I'll be right back. Okay. Stream is stopped, and I am back. So that's all I got, guys. It's Friday as well. But anybody got big plans for the weekend?
No.
No.
Yeah,
Remind me where you are, Eddie. What area are you in?
I'm in Northern California, so just above Sacramento and Davis.
Oh, okay.
And if you know Redding, I'm just outside of Redding.
Gotcha. So you're
Yeah.
right up there by Lois. You guys need to go
Yes.
have lunch or something, huh?
Yeah, she's about hour and 50 minutes away.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff.
It gets a little warm up here, which actually I had an event that I did that was outside and in the shade. It was about 109.
Wow.
And had some things kind of come apart while the plane was in the air. I ended up resorting to having my phone join the meeting. So I lost audio during the meeting out of my laptop because it was so hot. Had the phone join the meeting, and the phone actually captured the audio, and that was piped into the Zoom meeting. That was everybody said it's working now. So
Wow.
okay, good enough.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it Zoom does some pretty amazing, things for bad connections, that's for sure. And yeah, when you have the trouble, they go to pretty great extents to make it better. If it's possible. Very good. I can still see I've got a whole red face. Last weekend I hung out at the air show and took a bunch of pictures and
where are you at?
Kansas City.
Okay.
And they what was the real treat is they did not even advertise it because it wasn't part of the plan, and that was they had the Thunderbirds and Blue Angels in the same air show, but it was total happenstance apparently. We knew the Blue Angels were coming, but the Thunderbirds just showed up. Not just showed up, but however that went down, and the reason is I guess they were, I don't know where, but somewhere north of us they said, and the air show canceled, and so they were already out, and so they thought, well, let's head down south. So it's like
cool.
our treat. I'll share a couple of pics that I just thought were phenomenal. I was not on the field at all. I was at my friend's house, about maybe a mile north of the field is all, but directly north. So that's the flight path, and that's the roof of my friend's house. And so I was just in his yard, and just had some great visuals. They did a lot of their setup for to the north, thank goodness. And so I had just some incredible opportunities for some great shots. So
What did you shoot that with?
I shoot it's the same camera I'm using right here is a Canon EOS R, and then the lens I used that day was a 100 to 400 L series lens. So yeah, I mean their precision just blows me away. I mean, like, that's incredible how close they are, how precise they are. Except those two knuckleheads who didn't realize they were upside down. No, that was cool. It was fun. It was a fun weekend. That guy was close. That was the closest airplane to me the whole time. He just happened to break away, and he's right overhead. And I'm like, man, some of them I had to crop into big time.
That is so cool.
But yeah, you can get right in that guy's seat, man. He has an extra seat back there. So
someday.
Yeah, I have a friend who flew. He's an aerobatic pilot now as well. He used to sell medical devices, and now he's a commercial pilot and an air show pilot, and he flies a T6 Texan, the old Warbird trainers. And I've gone up with him, and done some aerobatics, and it was like, whew. It was fun, and it was great footage, but I don't know if I could take it for a long, long time. You know, it was pretty intense.
Did you have a bag with you just in case?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, it was the first time I'd ever. I mean, I'm a private pilot, and I don't fly a lot anymore, but I used to fly a lot, and but it was the first time, and it was just a couple of years ago, that I ever flew with a parachute on, and so we both wore parachutes, and he did. He gave me a bag just in case, told me where it was. Like, okay, I don't think that's gonna happen, but maybe, and but you know, he kind of taught me how to breathe, you know, and breathe and win and so forth, and kind of keeps the bugs away. And so we headed south. There's kind of this $100 hamburger run, which is, you know, just a short flight south, 20 minutes at tops. But you can land on the field. It's called Miami County Airport in Paola, Kansas, and there's a barbecue restaurant right on the field, and they have phenomenal breakfasts on Saturday mornings, and they have great barbecue during the days of the week, and so we went and did that. But good times. Anyways, well, you guys take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week sometime. If anything pops up in between, just holler. I don't know. Are any of you interested in the fact of bouncing back in and maybe over the next 10 or so? Let me end this.
Okay.
And I'm not going to close Zoom application. I'm just going to restart the meeting so that there's a chance that the problem still exists, but I kind of want to start there. So anybody who wants to rejoin, feel free to rejoin here momentarily, but I'll end the meeting and I'll start it right back up. I might see you then.
Cool. All right.
All right. See y'all.